Reporting to the media this week at Post-Executive Council Media Briefing is the Secretary of the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities, Councillor Gary Melville, as well as the Line Secretary in the Division of Settlements and Labour, Councillor Dion Isaac.
I just want to note that the workers in the Unemployment Relief Program, the URP, and the Development Program have returned to work after a month closure. They would have completed their first fortnight back. All of the workers were returned to their jobs. No one has been retrenched. Everybody was taken back. And as Secretary, I want to thank these workers for their service in the past year, as they have delivered on a number of excellent projects for the DIPU and for Tobago in general. And we therefore look forward to their continued delivery in fiscal 2015. A number of projects were completed in the division in the last fiscal year, and we have a number of programs that we are starting up in this current fiscal year, including drainage works, retaining walls in a number of areas, such as Top Hill in Pembroke, Mount St. George, along the Windward Main Road, Charlotteville Main Road, Idlewide, John Dial, Cardiff Road, Pembroke, Lowlands, Myland Trace, McKnight Trace, and a number of other drainage initiatives in the Canaan-Bonaccord area. We also have some drainage projects at Lowlands, Lambo, Longbed, Kendall, Mount St. George Culvert, and Stolly Park. In terms of workers of the division, we acknowledge that in terms of arrears for daily paid workers, that some workers in the division have not received their arrears as yet. These include all the workers in the development program, some workers in the area of the maintenance of roads, some workers in Mariah, Roxborough, and Goldsboro. A few sheets in each case, because the majority of workers in those areas would have already received their arrears. We have all our workers on the maintenance of buildings, and we also have overtime and allowances for daily paid workers where those arrears have not been paid as yet. Of course, this is not unique to the DIPU. It is an issue in a number of the divisions with daily paid workers. And of course, everyone is aware by now that we have a process whereby these sheets have to be audited first, and when they're audited, the Division of Finance will provide the funds. We will make a request for releases, and the Division of Finance will provide the funds to be able to meet those arrears. So for the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities, and I guess workers, I could say for the workers in that division that I just mentioned, we have a commitment from the Division of Finance for the release of those funds, and we would want to make the commitment to our workers that within the next 2-week period, by the end of the next 2 period, all our daily paid workers, and let me repeat, all daily paid workers whose sheets have been audited will receive their arrears. All workers whose sheets have been audited will receive their arrears within the next 2 weeks. In terms of the division, I want to give an update on some of the projects that we have been responsible for on behalf of other divisions. We have been meeting regularly with our various project managers, including MTS and NIPDEC, and I want to give the following updates. In terms of MTS, who have been the project managers on the Lowlands Community Center and the Bethesda Community Centers, which the DIPU has been overseen on behalf of the Division of Community Development and Culture. Based on the meetings that we had yesterday with the board and with some members of the board and the CEO of MTS, those edifices, those buildings, the 2 community centers, will be handed over to the DIPU in full, and the DIPU will completely hand over of these buildings to the Division of Community Development and Culture, who will then determine an appropriate time for their commissioning. But it is expected that both of those buildings will be commissioned within the next 6 weeks. In terms of the Scarborough Library, a project that, of course, has engaged the public of Tobago for various reasons for a very long time, MTS has informed us that the main contractor on the project will hand over the building to the project manager, MTS, in the coming week. Of course, on taking receipt of the building, MTS would finalize a snag list, which would really make up the defects liability, which is part of the first liability process. So in other words, things that are not suited up to mark, those will be noted, and the contractor will have to remedy those during the defect liability period. As you will be aware, there are two main areas that have been outstanding on the library: the issue of the fire suppression system and the issue of the ICT, the information communication technology for the library. MDS has informed us that the main aspects of the fire suppression system will be in place by mid-November. A number of items have already been placed in the building, and the majority of the remaining items are presently in Trinidad. So they have given us a commitment that the majority of the fire suppression system will be in place by mid-November. And there is at least one long lead item that is expected to be in place by mid-December. So by mid-December, the entire system will be in place. However, under the terms of the arrangements for receiving approval from the fire services, we will not have to wait for that long lead item to be able to receive approval for persons to use and occupy the building. As a matter of fact, at the moment, we have a partial approval, so that's why staff can be in the building already working. In terms of the ICT system, the equipment for that system is already in the country, and a number of items are expected to be installed very shortly, within the next 2 to 3 weeks. The hardwiring for the building is complete, and what remains now is for the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports and the NALIS as the stakeholders to make the arrangements to have the necessary networking arrangements and so on to be able to determine, to sculpt the ICT system to suit their particular needs. That process, we have been told, can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, but my understanding is that the process can be significantly shortened as long as the various parties are able to work together. The bottom line, therefore, is that given the issue with those two items, we at the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities have every confidence that while we cannot give the public a set date today for the opening of the library, that with an outside time of 6 to 8 weeks, that we would be able to have a final opening day within that particular period. Right? Both divisions, the Division of Infrastructure and the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport, would have to collaborate and come up with that, and I am pretty certain that as long as progress continues as dictated to us by MTS, that we would be able to make that decision and make that announcement during the course of this month, November. In terms of other projects, the mini mall at Argyle is ready for handover to the Division of Finance and Enterprise Development, and both divisions are working towards having a commissioning in early December. Of course, there is also the matter of the Shore Park Cultural Complex, and the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities continues to work with the main contractor, York Structures Limited, and the project manager, NIPDEC, towards completion and handover of the facility. There continues to be challenges on this project. Of course, the pace of work at the complex has accelerated significantly in recent weeks in terms of trying to meet the targeted date that was promised to the Assembly at the end of 2014. As a matter of fact, when I leave this media briefing, I will be attending a meeting of all the parties concerned as we seek to bring this major project home. What I can say is that the Tobago House of Assembly is leaving no stone unturned, and resources and systems are being applied towards the completion of those works by the end of this year. Of course, as I said, we are holding our project manager, NIPDEC, fully responsible for the pace and direction and the attainment of the goals for this project. And I believe that based upon the outcome over the next 3 to 4 weeks, the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities should be in a position to be able to inform the Tobago public when this long, very, very long awaited project would come to final closure and can be handed over to the for use by the people of Tobago. I just want to also comment briefly on the division's focus in terms of road safety and traffic management. We mean for this to be a significant focus over the next few months, certainly in the fiscal 2015. We appreciate that our traffic volumes have grown significantly in Tobago in recent times, and they continue to grow at a very rapid rate. And there are a number of things that we are looking at. We are trying to ensure that we have appropriate signage, that we have efficient road marking, and we have proper management systems to treat with some of the issues that we have on our roads. Of course, we have a traffic management committee that includes personnel from the division, as well as the traffic police, and as well as other stakeholders. And they have been engaged over the last 3 or 4 months and have made a number of interventions, including the changes to the intersections of at the Claude Noel Highway, intersections at Old Government Farm Road, Montgomery, and Darrell Spring, where the decision was taken to reduce the risk associated with right turns from those roads onto the Claude Noel Highway. We have also established delineator posts as a low impact barrier and directional device at a number of intersections, and we intend to continue doing so to be able to create a safer environment, safer road environment. We would have also installed a crossing, a safety device at the crosswalk for the Calder Hall Primary Schools, safety device that provides warnings to drivers in terms of their speed and provides, of course, provides the notification for drivers that they are in a particular school area. We hope to install a number of these in other parts of Tobago because, of course, the safety of our children is paramount. In terms of the signage, we have collaborated with TT Post in developing a comprehensive list of all the streets and street names on the island. We have included in that process the village councils and community councils, and that list is currently being finalized. As a matter of fact, today at the Executive Council, I would have provided the Executive Council with a note asking for permission to proceed with these street names, and as soon as that is finalized, we hope to be able to start procuring signage so that all streets in Tobago can be identified with appropriate and certainly aesthetically pleasing signs. We also want to replace all of our road safety signs and install new ones in areas where we currently don't have any. And of course, directional signs. Shortly, hopefully before the end of 2014, we want to start to put up signs and structures that would delineate each community, so even visitors can clearly see you are entering village X and you are leaving village X and so on. So that process is well in train to start before the end of the year. And we anticipate that by the end of 2015, we should have a Tobago with modern, up-to-date signs and certainly a much more safe road environment.
We in the Division of Settlements and Labor are indeed pleased to report that within the last fiscal, we have been able to distribute in excess of $14 million in grants to over 1,200 Tobagonians. And while we're on the matter of grants, allow me to stress to our Tobago populace that these grants are for individuals whose homes are in a state of disrepair. So I felt that it was necessary to stress that, because some individuals seem to think that the grants are for additions to your home. If you want to put on a porch on your home, you could come and apply for a grant. But that's not the purpose for the grant. As I mentioned before, it's for individuals whose homes are in a state of disrepair and who are definitely in need of the grant. Considering that we just received our allocation from the central government, the national budget was read, there are some projects that we definitely would have insisted earlier in this year that we would have liked to get started. However, due to a dearth of allocation funding, we are unable to do such. And I would like to take the opportunity to mention those projects. And those projects would include the Signal Hill Development Works, Friendship Estate Land Development Works, Adelphi Land Development Works, Speyside Estate Village Expansion, and Charleville Assisted Living Facility. However, on the other hand, there's a lighter side to this. There are projects that we were able to have funded, and those include Blemmin. We're looking to commence works for some additional townhouses in Blemmin. Corland Estate Land Development will continue. Belgarden Development Phase 2, those works will continue as well. Adventure Phase 2, those works will continue and will come to completion very soon in 2015. Castara Housing Development Project, that was one of the projects that we mentioned earlier this year that we wanted to commence, and we will commence those works early in January of 2015. Charleville Village Expansion, I trust that the villagers in Charleville will be pleased to know that we will commence construction of some houses in Charleville for the benefit of those villagers living out there in Charleville. Castara Development Retaining Wall, home completion grants will continue. A new project, which is the home construction grant, will continue. The home improvement grant as well, the home improvement subsidy. Milford Court Plaza restoration works will commence. And we have a new program called the Disaster Mitigation Program, which is designed to assist homeowners to mitigate against natural disasters. So that program in particular will be given funding to assist individuals to put on hurricane straps on your house, guttering, also with electrical works, plumbing. That program will be designed to assist in that nature. The division is also pleased to report that the communications unit has issued its very first communications digest. We call it the Dorsal Digest, that will be disseminated throughout Tobago in an effort to make the populace more aware of what we're doing in Tobago in the Division of Settlements and Labour, and for you to have something tangible at your homes or in your homes in an effort to see what we are doing with your taxpayers' dollars. Alternative Housing Solutions Fair. We, in the Division of Settlements and Labour, having recognized that our mandate is to treat with low to middle income earners and to ensure that we provide affordable housing units and affordable housing solutions for Tobagonians, we have been looking at alternative housing solutions that are in effect more affordable. And as such, we are going to be embarking on a drive to have a fair that will treat with alternative housing solutions to educate the Tobago populace, to educate individuals in Tobago as to the different options available for housing solutions that will be at a cheaper rate. And as I said before, we will continue in our mandate to ensure that we provide those solutions to Tobagonians. Let me also say that we're also pleased to report that we had our very first sod-turning ceremony for our public-private partnership initiative for social housing in Tobago about a month ago, where we partnered with Habitat for Humanity, and the Tobago House of Assembly, through the Division of Settlements and Labour, provided the land. So our very first private-public partnership initiative for social housing has taken place about a month ago, where one lucky homeowner or potential homeowner will see in a couple months the construction of his house taking place. As it relates to the new home construction program, I would have alluded to that earlier. This program is designed for individuals within a certain income bracket. If you're earning $4,000 and under, you will receive a grant of $50,000. And if you're earning $4,001 to $7,000, you will receive a grant of $35,000. So I felt that it was important for us to be able to give that information and put it out there so that individuals are aware that we have a new home construction grant that you can come to the division and apply for because there is funding for it.
With regards to the housing developments, is there any plans at all to, instead of utilizing more surface area in the housing developments to accommodate the growing populace of Tobago, is there any plans to do more townhouses to adapt that sort of apartment structure similar to what HDC is doing in Trinidad?
That is in the making, quite frankly, but we are still in the phase where we're discussing how high we should go as it relates to the amount of floors that we're going to put down.
You spoke about the traffic management and the signage and the road markings and these sort of things. Is there any discussions in train or on the table to actually relocate the taxi stands for the western areas, for, whether Plymouth, Signal Hill, Cana and Bonacor, to ease up the congestion in the Scarborough area?
Sure. Well, the division would have engaged a specialist, a transport specialist, who is presently arranging to do a traffic management study for Scarborough, both Lower and Upper Scarborough. And of course, those are considerations there. Certainly, we face a challenge in terms of available land space in Scarborough, because we have the garden side, the garden side car park that the Assembly would have purchased, and that we are looking to see what are the possibilities that we can do, possibilities that we have with that particular area. We have the issue of creating a transport hub, so to speak, in Scarborough that will allow for ease up of congestion, and that is really engaging the attention of the, as I said, the consultant who will be doing that particular study, because we also have a challenge in terms of PTSC. PTSC, I was told, would have to move from their existing location, and that also presents another challenge. So we have to see what would be the most optimal solution that we can come up with in terms of treating with that situation in Scarborough. At present, we have been in discussion with PTSC, and we are looking at what possibilities there may be in Scarborough. There is not much state land outside of the garden side, though we have been in discussions with a couple of private landowners about whether or not there might be possibilities for the division and PTSC to partner with PTSC to finding a suitable space. Those have not borne any fruit as yet. So as it stands right now, that situation, of course, is urgent, because I believe it's supposed to happen by the end of December. So it's something that PTSC and the division continues to work towards.
There's still some teething problems in terms of the communication to the public. Following the reports, there would have been some motorists that encountered some problems whilst on the road because there were no safety signs saying that construction is being done, and the vehicles were damaged, rims were damaged, and that sort of thing. They attempted to come to the Works Department to speak about it.
As the Secretary of the Division, we have in place a plan to improve upon that. We are presently now seeking to develop a communications unit. A part of that unit is going to be a customer, it's going to be customer oriented in terms of being able to treat with queries from the public, complaints from the public, and so on. Because I think that most people in Tobago will recognize that a DIPU cannot do everything for everyone at the time that they may require it. But I think people would be more appreciative if when they come to the division, they can be given some assurance that whatever their challenges are, that someone is looking after it, and at some point in time, they can have a ribbon of hope that that issue will be treated with. In terms of the issue of motorists experiencing challenges because of the condition of, or because of some road condition or the other, again, all of that should be able to be treated with properly if we have a proper customer relations oriented unit, and we certainly hope to put that into place maybe by January or so, that we have somewhere where the public can complain.
You spoke about the development of the secondary road or the old we call that the Milford Road.
Milford Road, yeah.
Yes, the Milford Road.
Yes.
All right. With that development, the Milford Road or that coastal area still is under threat by the raging currents of the sea and erosion. Is within the plans to develop that road, what is there to mitigate or appease that erosion that is taking place there, from as far back as Shore Park go right down?
Well, let me say that again, coastal erosion in particular, the issue of sea level rise, is something that is something that I consider to be one of the biggest challenges that Tobago faces and will face in the years ahead. Because it's not only the Milford Road area. If you look at along the Windward Road, you will find similar challenges, issues at Argyle, Kendall. If you go to Plymouth, you know, if you even take the Pigeon Point area there and so on. There are a number of areas in Tobago. So we have, in this financial year, the division has put forward a new initiative to treat with sea level, what we call sea level rise mitigation. And we are going to engage consultants to be able to treat and provide solutions for areas like the Milford Road area, Argyle, Kendall, areas, including the issues at Plymouth and Corlan and so on. So we need to put in place immediately the studies that will provide the solutions, because, you know, everybody says you can go put some boulders, you can go. We want to do things in a very scientific way. So we want to bring in the expertise, let them take a look at it, let them provide the solutions, and we will try to implement the solutions as quickly as possible.
Just for clarification, I know that it was said that now forgive me for not knowing the exact figure, but it would take about something around 27 million to develop that Milford Road. Within those plans, and forgive me if the figure is wrong, was that also taken into account into the actual cost of developing that road?
You mean the coastal mitigation? There would be some costs involved there, but there would be additional costs that certainly would have to come in just from doing the coastal work alone. But there will have to be some costs that will come in as part of the road development and doing the bridges. But of course, to be able to treat with the more comprehensive problem along there, we certainly have to look for additional resources for that.
As it is, would the works be on hold until the coastal problem, the erosion problem, is somewhat to a satisfactory level? Or?
Well, no, we're going to do it in stages. What we hope to do is to do the replacement of the bridges. The bridges have to be replaced anyway. Anyway you look at it, we have to replace the bridges. So we're hoping to replace the bridges during this fiscal year. And in areas where there are no challenge, we will do some widening. In areas where there are coastal issues, of course, we will have to seek to ensure that we try to treat those challenges before we actually engage in other expenditure that can be, washed away. Right? So we will treat with the bridges, and we will do widening in areas where there is no immediate erosion threat.
Prior to that, earlier up in the year, we spoke, and it was having some problems with the accounts department, and some things were to be put in place. Has anything really improved, or is there still problems with that accounts department?
Again, I try to be as frank as possible with people, and I would say, no, we are not where we would like to be as yet. We would have created a number of positions, and we are in the process of recruiting persons into those positions. That should bring some relief in some of those areas. But we do still have some challenges in our accounts department. We have some people that work very hard. I would want to congratulate them. And sometimes you have persons that don't pull their weight. But we are seeking our best to try to create an environment, because we have thousands of workers at the DIPU. And it is really incumbent upon us to ensure that the needs of those workers, in particular, them receiving their wages on time and so on, that those needs are met. So we are continuing. We have had some improvements, but there is still a way to go.
Thank you for tuning in to another Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council media briefing for the week ending November 8th, 2014.